Hello everyone, welcome to Cultural Lens. I'm your host, Jennifer. Today, we're diving into a fascinating topic: cultural myths in Taiwan. Taiwan has many unique eating habits, lifestyle customs, and even social values. But are there myths hidden behind these? We've invited a special guest who has done extensive research on Taiwanese culture to share his insights. Guest, please introduce yourself.
Hi everyone, I'm Ray, today's guest. I've been studying Taiwanese cultural phenomena for a long time, especially those everyday habits we take for granted that might be full of myths. I'm excited to explore this topic with all of you today.
Awesome, let's jump right into it. First, let's start with Taiwan's food culture. What are some common myths you've noticed about Taiwanese eating habits?
Taiwan's food culture is incredibly rich, but there are some myths worth discussing. For example, many people believe that eating hot food is healthier than eating cold food, but this isn't necessarily true. While hot food can make the body feel warm, cold foods like salads or fruits also provide rich nutrients. The key is a balanced diet, not just favoring hot food.
That's interesting. I often hear elders say eating ice is bad for your health, but this might be more of a cultural belief than a scientific fact. How do you think this myth came about?
It's actually tied to traditional Chinese medicine concepts. Chinese medicine emphasizes balancing hot and cold. So many people believe that cold foods can make the body too cold. However, modern nutrition science has shown that, in moderation, cold foods don't negatively impact health. This reflects the clash between traditional and modern perspectives in Taiwanese culture.
Absolutely. Let's move on to lifestyle habits. Taiwanese people have many unique habits, like wearing slippers outdoors. What cultural myths do you think are behind this?
Haha, this is a fun one. Taiwanese people wearing slippers outdoors reflects our emphasis on convenience and comfort. However, it might also give the impression that Taiwanese people are too casual or even informal. This is actually a cultural myth because wearing slippers doesn't mean disrespect, it's just a lifestyle choice.
Good point. This reminds me of how Taiwanese people love to queue. Is this also a cultural myth?
The queuing culture is definitely a hallmark of Taiwan, but it reflects our emphasis on fairness and order. However, sometimes queuing can also be a form of blind conformity, like assuming a crowded restaurant must be good. This is another myth because popularity doesn't always mean high quality.
That's something worth reflecting on. Finally, let's talk about social values. Taiwanese society has many deeply rooted beliefs, like education is the only path to success. What are your thoughts on this?
This is one of Taiwan's long-standing myths. We overemphasize academic achievements while undervaluing other skills. For example, vocational education is often overlooked in Taiwan, even though these skills are equally important to society. We need to rethink our definition of success instead of blindly chasing higher education.
Well said. This is definitely a mindset that Taiwanese society needs to change. So today we've discussed some myths about Taiwan's food, lifestyle habits, and social values. It's been such an insightful conversation. Ray, do you have any final thoughts for our listeners?
I'd like to say that cultural myths aren't inherently bad. What's important is that we recognize their existence and are willing to reflect and make changes. Taiwanese culture is incredibly diverse, and we should embrace different perspectives and lifestyles with an open mind.
Thank you, Ray, for sharing your insights, and thank you to our listeners for tuning in. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe to our podcast. We'll see you next time.